Hello and welcome to On Point. I'm Kenya Arevalo. Starting a small business can be challenging, but some millennials have found a way to succeed by using social media platforms to market their products. The Small Business Administration says small businesses significantly improve the U.S. economy by creating jobs for over 1 million people. Researchers at the University of Maine's Business School found that the use of websites and social media had a positive impact by increasing the numbers of new customers. The relationships with those customers improved as well. This new generation of business owners has found a way to benefit from social media. It has allowed them to build their brand awareness much more easily. But many still feel that starting their own business can be challenging.
We talked about opening our own shop and everything, but it was never something that we were serious about, just because we know in the back of our minds it's such a difficult thing to start up, especially in today's world.
I always thought about how there's like Uber delivery where you pay someone to bring you your food. Maybe we could do something on campus where people are studying and you could pay at least a student to bring you food, and it could be through an app or something like that.
Starting a small business online is much more than just creating a website and posting pictures of your products. On Point's Monica Campos has more on the story.
Thank you, Kenya. Today I want to introduce my guest. I have Christiana Lucratif, who is the owner of Opulent Studios, and she's also a photographer. I have Sadee Mondino, who is a blogger, designer, and entrepreneur. Thank you guys so much for coming. All right, let's get started. So let's start off with the obvious question. Tell me about your business, how you guys got started, little, brief sum up of it.
All right. I've been in downtown at Opulent for 8 years now, and basically all started because I wanted to have a place to create, and a lot of the studios that are in LA are just really big studios, and it's kind of hard to get in there starting out. So I wanted to create a place for young people, students, creatives starting out to have a place to create, and so that's kind of where it all came to be, and it's been growing and doing well ever since then. It's been a challenge.
I bet. And you, Sadee, how did you start?
So my multi-business, the social media influencing kind of came about on its own just by doing work, and then I ended up looking a manager. My photography, I love photography, and then my main focus right now, my jewelry brand. Just started working for other people, started creating, realized I could do this for a job, realized I could make money off of it, and have the connections, so it's worked out pretty well.
Awesome. And I forgot to mention your accessory line, Scarlett's Addiction.
Yeah.
All right, so, and you recently launched as well, right? Mm-hmm. How long has it been?
It's been about 2 months, but it feels a lot longer.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Okay, awesome. So, okay, Chris, this question's for you. What are kind of some of the struggles you faced first starting, looking for a photography studio? Did you have to keep in mind, your 9 to 5, or what was the process in kind of fully indulging yourself in just your studio and being a photographer?
Well, definitely finding the location was a struggle. It took about a year to find the right location. There were certain things that I wanted, and wanted it to be ground level, wanted it to be accessible, and there was a lot of things that weren't that. So it took a long time to find the location, and then the other challenges is obviously it's not like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they're just going to show up and start booking it, right? So then it's marketing and trying to get everybody to spread the word, and really it just started out with a lot of grassroots and word of mouth and getting out there and handing out flyers and business cards and posting ads up wherever you could and everything like that. So it was definitely a challenge. I think one of the biggest things was just being willing to take the risk and just dive in. I wasn't working at the time, so it was definitely an all eggs in one basket kind of a situation, and if I didn't make it, then it was just I was going to fail, and so that wasn't going to work, so I had to find a way to make it work.
That wasn't an option.
Yeah.
And
just no plan B.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And Sadee, how about for you? Why just 2 months ago? Is it something that you've had in the back of your mind, or did you have to save money for it, or do you think that the whole having a following was kind of a little clutch that kind of pushed you, that made it easier for you?
It definitely made it easier. I feel like the last job I had was a blessing in disguise, didn't end up working out. I wasn't able to give my whole 100% into my social media influencer modeling stuff. And then how it came to be was I just started creating stuff for myself and realized I could do it for other people. And so, yeah, having that clutch of the following and, you know, having friends that have a huge following, that made it a lot easier, and definitely was in your boat, like giving it my all. And if it didn't work out, it wasn't an option. And yeah.
Yeah. All right, Chris, this question's for you. So you have a studio, obviously, and you offer different services. You know, I'm sure you rent it out, you do photography. What are some like marketing strategies that you have to kind of market each one of those? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you market yourself as a photographer, but as well as a space for others to be
Right.
creative?
Yeah, it's definitely two different things. You know, each service has to kind of be taken into its own account and devise different strategies for each one. But I would say that social media is definitely a huge one. Working with influencers and celebrities is good. It's definitely brought a lot of that, you know, oh, I know somebody that was here, and, you know, now that we've been there for 8 years, I get a lot of that. Oh, we've been here before. I know someone that did something here, and all of that. But it takes a while, and it takes a long time, and it just takes repeating the efforts over and over and over and over again, even when it seems like it's not working, and just trying to get as much visibility as possible. And that goes with the photography and pretty much any service that you're trying to market. It's just finding out, you know, maybe for the hourly, maybe it's like students or groups that need to, you know, do web series and short little photo shoots and stuff like that, reaching out to the students at, you know, FITM and USC and UCLA and everywhere around that's within close proximity of downtown LA. And then same thing with photography, trying to reach out to, you know, the target of clients, whether it be like clothing brands or specific models and talent agencies, and trying to work with them and create long-lasting partnerships. And that's really what it's like mainly about, just repeating clients.
So emailing directly. Can you also share maybe a specific platform you use for expanding on your, you know, on the services of your photography studio? Like what social media or what websites do you use that help you, that make it easier for you?
Sure. Let's see, for like text messages are opened a lot more than emails these days. A long time ago, email campaigns used to be really good. When I first started, we used to do a lot of emails, and now we do a lot more text message campaigns because everybody's going to open their text messages, right? It's like really annoying to have that one unread message.
Right.
So you're going to at least look at it. So the service that I use for that is called Mozeo, and it's mozeo.com, and that's a really great service. They're pretty cost effective from what I've researched from similar platforms, but that is really helpful. And then as far as social media goes, there's so many different like scheduling apps and stuff like that can schedule for you. Boostgram is really easy. Hootsuite is, honestly, I don't like the way that it looks, but it is a really good service. Evernote is really helpful in just sharing content and stuff like that. And I would definitely recommend Canva for anyone that has to do marketing. Yeah.
What about for you, Sadee? Because it's going to be different, obviously, than what she uses because you're selling a product and you have a line. Yeah. So what works best for you?
Definitely never heard of anything that you've mentioned.
Oh my gosh, you have to try Canva for sure.
What works best for me is, working through the people the connections that I have. So mainly Instagram right now, because it is a product, because I am shooting the product, because I am creating the product. It's more of a look rather than like a service. So definitely Instagram. Twitter, things can go viral, so that also helps, but mainly Instagram, because I can, with every campaign, with every different look, I can create new, something to sell it. So my first line, I had to create something really just out there to sell it. So Instagram, through followers, or through people with followers, through my own brand, that's spread the word out hugely for me. That's advertising. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys both mentioned, influencers, cross-promoting. That whole process for you, what do you specifically look for? Because there's a lot of types of influencers out there, What are the ones that you specifically search for to work with?
I'm definitely going to look at not just the followers because that's not a clear indication of whether or not their people are going to actually get involved with you. One thing is obviously engagement, but you can also look at conversion ratios and sellers numbers and stuff like that, work based on like who they've worked with in the past and what the results from those campaigns were, and actually like looking at their numbers versus just what somebody's saying, oh, I worked with this brand and I work with that brand, and that's great, but a lot of times it's not really going to get you much. And sometimes even though that may be the case, it might still be good to work with them, even though you're not going to see a direct ROI from that, because it's really complicated and difficult to try to process those numbers for an ROI for social media influencing. Like, we know it's there, but it's kind of intangible. So it's like you got to do it, but then at the same time make sure it's on target and with your market and kind of like in your niche of people as far as who their followers are.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Me, I feel like I'm lucky. I'm already in the industry. You know, I work with numerous of brands, so that has led me to be friends with people that are like in the industry who are already big. I think you know, the ratios do mean a lot, but I guess for me, I have a lot of friends out here. So
you mainly go towards your friends that.
I mean, I've offered to pay them to promote, but they're like, no, I support you, or no, you've been a great friend, let me do it for free. So like 2 people, for instance, have over 1.5 million followers. That's been great. Just people with 50,000 followers, that gets it out there. A lot of festivals, people were at a lot of festivals. So, you know, with EDC, with Coachella, it's like big masses of purchasing around then. So since all of my friends are in the industry and models and all that stuff, that's gotten the word out there, and that's spread it to my following, their following. So I do think that, you know, the ratios are important, but luckily I have friends that I know have that natural great engagement and have like, you know, millions of followers, 700,000, 50,000, whatever it might
no,
be.
it's different if you know the person, then you don't have to like go
Search
back
for
and
it.
get
Yeah.
the numbers, get the books on them. But if you know the person, you have those
Right.
relationships, and that's obviously
Yeah, because I'm
obviously
sure
great.
with, you know, there could be so many followers, but then you don't know if they're real or if they're not.
Yeah, and I've
or-
known people, honestly, I know influencers that have 50,000 followers that have a way stronger real person influence than somebody that has 500,000 followers. And it's like when
Absolutely.
they say, I'm going to be here, show up, how many people are actually showing up? Or how many people are actually clicking on that link? And so it really just depends on the actual individual. And so sometimes it's hard to weed it out.
Right. But aside from the whole influencer thing, the whole main point of it is when they get into your studio, you want them to be tagging that, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole point.
Whether they're
They
followers
have
are
to
fake or
be,
not, tag us.
So that's the point of working with these people.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
So who would you say is your main customer that comes to the studio? Like who contacts you to do photo shoots, or who contacts you? Like what kind of events do you hold? Like what's the main customer that you have?
With each of those different services, it's a little bit different, but I would say as far as renting the studio, the bulk of the clients are creatives that are probably like mid-level. They're not beginners, and they're not uber professionals. You know, they might be doing it for a living, or they might also have a couple other side things that they're doing, but they are, you know, experienced and professional. So we get a lot of that. We do get obviously the other ends as well, as like students, and then very high-end productions as well, and high-end companies that are coming in. But I would say the bulk is kind of like right in the middle, which is probably pretty much of LA.
Yeah. And do you cater to a specific girl, to a specific look?
I wouldn't say a specific girl. I would say a specific age group. When I first launched my brand, it was a very kind of sex sales kind of thing. It was kind of bulky chains. I wanted it very out there. I wanted it to make an impression. I wanted to make it a point. So I feel like to begin with, my age group would probably be somewhere in like the at least 18 to like 30 range, just because it came out very edgy. And then now, you know, I do male and female stuff. So I get male pocket chains, or this necklace I just made, you know, it's a variety of stuff. So I go from silver to gold to desert to edgy to clunky. So I don't really have a feel like a main type of clientele. I would just say kind of age group, and then it's unisex, so it's girls and guys.
Do you guys, now this is a weird, tricky question, but do you guys think that millennial customers are different than, say, like older?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah? Well, why do you think so, Sadie?
Like for instance, we're scrolling on Instagram or whatever it might be all day. I know I have to use it all day because of, what I do for a living. Like I get paid to post, I get paid to model, all that stuff. So that's how I find most of the brands I want to work with. That's how I find people I want to work with. I feel like still some of like our parents or aunts and uncles, they're still on like Facebook, or they don't know how to use it. Like I feel like that's today's marketing is the biggest thing. Is I feel like Instagram is, I feel like that's the biggest way to get out there right now. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what about you? Do you think so or no?
Yeah, I think millennials are definitely different as far as like being consumers and really going out there. They're obviously getting a lot of it from social media, and that's where a lot of that validation comes in from the influencers, because a large percentage of millennials are buying whatever they see on Instagram and whatever is
Right.
accepted on Instagram. So if they see that Opulent was tagged for this shoot and it was tagged for that shoot, and they recognize it in a video, and then, oh my God, there's that grass wall again, and that kind of thing, then it just automatically makes them okay with my ad coming up and then them clicking on it. Oh yeah, I've seen that place before. So it's definitely very digital. They also are very impatient and want everything right away. So it's that's also interesting. And then also, as far as like the way they're used to paying for everything is like Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Like nobody's like, oh, can I come in and pay for the studio in cash and my deposit, and can I meet you at this time? It's very a lot less phone calls, a lot less in person. Everything's text message, digital, and that type of interaction.
Right. Yeah.
We're such free
Which
spirits
makes it
nowadays.
really easy.
Yeah.
To
you
do
don't have to look at
business.
the person, right?
Yeah.
All high tech. All right. So talked about millennials, customers. So let's talk about Yelp. I'm sure, every business, and especially now in the digital age, if you're going to go to a restaurant, I'm sure like Yelp it, How do you deal with certain Yelp reviews or just reviews in general? Because I'm sure that your studio has reviews, people love it, or, if you've ever had a situation where you've had like an unhappy customer,
Yeah.
what would you do about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been in business for 8 years, and not everybody's going to be happy, although I would say majority of people luckily are. We have 5 stars on Yelp and we have 5 stars on Google.
Awesome.
So fingers crossed it stays that
Great.
way. But every once in a while, somebody does get upset, whether it's a miscommunication or something goes wrong or something that's not something that we can control, and the universe decided that it was going to be a bad day for that person that day.
Yeah.
And so we just have to address it. I would always recommend to respond to the client, try to alleviate the situation, whether it's offering them free studio time, giving them another opportunity to either shoot or do their event or have something else in the future. That's usually what we would try to do, and just try to make sure that whatever their keynote is, that we can take that, and hopefully that doesn't happen to another client.
Absolutely. And you just launched, but eventually, you're going to keep growing. What would you do if if for some reason something were to come?
Yeah, well, I've already
life happens, packaging, something were to break, or
Yeah, so I mean, I've already had like a shipping issue where I didn't get to her on time. So I guess overall issues, find the source of the problem. If they don't like the product, or if it's not what they expected, or wasn't the right size, whatever it might be. Definitely communication. I think a lot of people just want to be heard. A lot of people just in general want to be heard and communicate. So definitely communication, responding, and figuring out how the customer will be happy in the end. Would they like a refund? Would they like something else? Would they like a discount in the future? Whatever makes the customer happy and is also not super bad on my business. That's how I would solve the problem. Yeah.
And do you communicate with your customers through? Is it through like an app or your website,
Yeah.
or is
so
there
through website, through email, and through social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this question's for both of you guys. Both being business owners, millennials, in the digital age. What's like a typical day? You wake up. What do you do? since you have to grind for your dollar.
Yeah, definitely have to get up. Can't be sleeping in all the time. I usually get up, have a cup of tea, and then go straight into like emails after I like deal with my dogs and emails and ads and do the immediate business first. And then I usually try to go to the gym if I don't have to go immediately to the studio. But generally throughout the day, it's like phone, emails, social media, going to the studio, bookings, either that or delegating assistants to make sure that bookings are open and closed. And I try to deal with my life first because you only get one, so we gotta make sure we maximize it. So I try to go to the gym and read and do a lot of audiobooks and self-improvement during the day because at the end of the day, that's just gonna help my business more. So my days are always different. There's never a day off, but I just try to maintain a little bit of structure in there.
Nice.
Yeah, I would concur with that. Like, it's no day's the same, so especially multitasking all these things. Immediately I wake up, I answer emails, I check all my social media platforms, if I get direct messages, because you still get business through those. Then I have to wake up and decide, okay, am I creating content today, whether that be creating pieces, am I creating, do I have to edit someone's pictures, do I have to edit pictures for my website, do I have to create content for me, do I have to, one day it's a dune shoot, the next day it's running to and from downtown, making a product, shipping it out because that person needs it in a few days, just creating in all different ways, I would say all day. So definitely have to schedule in like lunchtime, but at the end of the day I want to like read, meditate, but sometimes I'm working from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So just off and on all day, depends what I need to do.
Geez,
Yeah.
what would you guys do without Instagram and social media? No, seriously, what would you guys do?
Well, that's definitely one of the key things that I think a lot of millennials that are in business need to think about is that, like, if Instagram were to shut down, like, can you still stay in business, and how are you exporting those followers and those customers to your actual CRM? And so that's one thing that I always try to focus on as far as like gathering emails. And that's why I do a lot of the marketing directly through my own text messages and emails versus like just social media, and then people that I do find on social media, gathering their contact information and putting them into my database versus just on Instagram. Because at the end of the day, if that were to shut down, I still gotta eat,
Yeah.
still gotta make money. So that
Right.
definitely can't be the only thing. It's a huge, huge thing, but we can't be dependent on it. So
Right.
that's where it gets scary.
And can you just explain what CRM is?
Your customer relation system, like where you're managing your database, like your customer name, address, phone number, email, that's how you get in contact with them, all your booking histories, the payment schedules, all that stuff.
Okay, I got it.
Software system.
Yeah.
That you should have.
I was wondering what that was too. Okay.
And what about, what do you think you would do if Instagram were to shut down? Or
I mean, I feel like if everyone dropped off tomorrow, you got to create content that you believe and stand by in. So creating pieces, creating whatever, if everyone dropped off tomorrow, you have only what your work left is like to stand by. So create quality stuff so that way like it can still move forward without like a crutch of like Instagram or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And for you, there's also like markets and
Yeah, there's a lot of, so just make quality content that helps to get it out there. But at the end of the day, building up your clientele already helps, because I think of like a brand, and I go to their Instagram to like look at their latest stuff. But if I want to buy product from them, then I'll definitely go on their website. So
Yeah. So okay, what are some what's like a plan you guys have for the future to expand? Like what's the ultimate goal? Like what's your next step?
For me, the next step would be opening another studio and another studio after that, and kind of getting more into the commercial real estate business. So that way we own the properties that we're in, and also expanding through different markets, because there's a lot of other creative places that are starting to kind of pick up. LA's definitely the hub for art, I feel like, but there's other cities in the country that are starting to perk up. So that, and eventually be out of the country.
Right.
Get out of here. That's the goal. That's the goal. Get out of here.
What about you?
I would love for my photography to, like expand a lot more. Social media, I want to eventually end that and, just do like booked modeling gigs. But for my business, for like my jewelry business, for someone to buy it and, to go through multiple avenues. So for a big company to buy it and I can like sell it through there. Ultimate goal, live off that, travel as much as I want, live wherever I want, house in Bali.
The dream.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up, what is a word of advice that each one of you would give to millennials, young adults that are trying to start a business? It's a scary thing, so I'm sure a lot of people want to do it, but taking that leap, what's the best word of advice that you could give?
I would say learn as much as possible. Just audiobooks, reading, mentorship, classes, seminars. Learn as much as you can because the information's out there and it's basically free now. So even if you have to pay for it, definitely go get as much knowledge as you can because it's going to help you with your business.
What do you think?
I would say don't be afraid because that was my biggest roadblock for the longest time was being afraid. I got so sick of being afraid of what if, like the possibilities, what if I went down this avenue and truly gave it my all? And when you're giving it your all and when you say you're giving it your all. So really give it your all. Don't be afraid, try, and you're gonna continue working hard every single day. It's gonna feel like you're getting nowhere, or it's gonna feel like, when is it gonna pay off? But it will, and it will happen all at once. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of putting out work that you think might not or might fail. You're going to fail. That's how you're going to succeed. You're going to fail. That's the only way you're going to succeed is through failures. That's through learning. So you have to get out there. You have to not be afraid, and you have to try, and you have to try your all and your best. And if you don't succeed, then fall back on a plan B. But for me, I didn't want a plan B, so I don't know if I would give that advice to people. But if this didn't work out, get a normal 9-to-5 job. But that wasn't really that in my heart. I'm a creative person. I would never be happy working for someone else or anything like that. So
It's only plan B if you quit.
yeah, don't be afraid.
So
just
don't
do
quit.
it.
Just keep going.
Beautiful. Beautiful, guys. All right, thank you so much. That's all the time we have today. Thank you for watching.
Ms. Stevens, I just wiped malware off our system. People have got to stop clicking unsolicited email links and downloading free software unless it's from a trusted source.
Sounds great.
We need a data backup plan in a separate location in case we get hacked.
We need to focus on making profits, not spending them.
Learn to protect yourself from ransomware. If you become a victim, contact your local FBI office.
Thank you for watching On Point. You can follow us on social media at CSUN On Point. You can hear us on KCSN 88.5 FM on Sunday mornings at 5:30. You can watch us on Santa Clarita Valley Television on Sunday afternoons at 5 and on LA 36 at 8 on Thursday evenings. For all of us here at On Point, I'm Kenya Arevalo.